Got a new YouTube, it's your man, All the Way George Page, coming to you live on YouTube. As you know, this is the final and last day of Black History Month. And I did a lot of videos where I gave respect to those who have made history in our community. Also, I did a series of comparison of women in my favorite sport, bodybuilding. But this is a sport I have been a fan of for quite some time. You know, for a long time as a kid, I was a big boxing fan. I grew up with the Ali, the Larry Holmes, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, you know, and I think really I kind of fell off of boxing for the last few years. The fighters now don't even have the real, I don't know, I'd say the real testicle fortitude to stand up like they used to and fight not for just for money or for a title, but for legacy. In quite some time, I've been becoming a fan of mixed martial arts, MMA. But still, I'm a still boxing fan at heart. And in the history of boxing, black women have, in the history of combat sports in general, black women have achieved quite a lot over the past few years. You have women who have become champions and legends. And you have those women who are up and coming superstars, who need to be recognized for their achievements. So I started to think, I'm going to recognize a few ladies who have achieved quite a lot in this sport, in the last few years. And this is something I decided to do because the fact is they need to be recognized. So here I go. First, I'm going to start off with Brianna the Bull Van Buren. And Brianna is from Gilroy, California. She is a young up and coming fighter. As you know, she originally started out when I first saw her, she was in Invicta, and it was doing the Fierce series when she was fighting for the Invicta Starweight Championship, and she was impressive. She beat 3 girls in one night, and then she got the title. And wasn't long before she got the title, she got signed up to UFC. And the first fight she won, I think she beat Livia Souza. But then her second fight, she faced Tecia Torres. And, she didn't do as good against Torres as she should have. This was last year. But, she still put up a pretty good show. Like I said, Brianna is impressive. My man, the coach, did an interview with her. She's a nice person. She's a general good young lady. And she has a lot of promise. But right now, Brianna is going to be sidelined for a bit because she is pregnant. And, I think, that's the thing with, especially I think there's a lot of the hardcore UFC fans don't get about women in combat sports, that the chance, opportunity that they will become, motherhood gets in the way of it. But like I said, she still has promise. She still has potential. Maybe she'll come back by next year. But, this is what we're hoping. Maybe even she might even, if things go good for her, if she keeps up with her fighting, her training, she might even have a title shot in the next 2 or 3 years. Next up is a lady that I know she don't like to be, kind of like next to the bottom of the list. And this is Denise Miss Dynamite Keelhouse. Now, Miss Keelhouse is from Amsterdam, Holland. Now, she is of African descent, being though she lives in Europe, but she is African descent. Now, she is a known kickboxing champion. She has won titles in kickboxing. And also, she's signed with, Bellator. She also is married, and she's quite quite attractive woman. She does some modeling and stuff like that, and she's pretty impressive. I'm a big fan of these Miss Keelhouse. And there's also a chance of possibly, maybe, in the next few months, if things get settled, because Bellator are dragging the feet, there's a chance that she might fight for the Bellator Women's Flyweight Championship against the current champion, Julia Vasquez. But like I said, I like Denise Keelhouse. She's impressive. She has some skills to her. And like I said, she's pretty. You can't fault that. You can fight and be pretty. That is a bonus. Now, next up is Angela Hill. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of her politics or how she don't have a stance when it comes to certain issues, especially dealing with our community. But she has been probably the most successful black woman in the history of MMA, especially in the UFC. Now, She's been with the UFC some while. Also, she fought as a Muay Thai fighter, and she was also a former Invicta champion. Now, many might remember that when she started in the UFC, she was a part of a group of ladies who were introduction. It was the introduction of the strawweight division, and she's a character. When she's back in Invicta, she used to dress up in stuff like wild cartoons, like here look like Sagat. No, that's Tong Pong from Kickboxer. And she one time there was an issue with her. She wanted to be the Black Panther, but for whatever reason, the UFC didn't want her to do that. But hey, I've seen a fighter who has worn the Joker mask about Joker makeup 2 or 3 times. So you're not worried about the DCU, DC coming after you, but you're worried about Marvel. That's some bull crap. And also, it wasn't that long ago she became a headliner, the first black woman to headline a UFC event. And people were up against it. There was so much, it's kind of funny how they were so supportive of Michelle Waterson calling herself I'm the future mom champ, but not supportive of Angela Hills being the first black woman to headline of a UFC event. And she's always a good go-getter. Like I said, you may not like her politics or whatever else, but she's a go-getter. She's been fighting 11 times in the past almost year or so. Now, she supposed to have a rematch with her former opponent, her Tisha Torres, but that was canceled because, Angela had gotten positive for COVID. And then the other night, she supposed to have fought against Ashley Spider Monkey Yoda, but because of some issues with with Ashley Yoda's corner man, that fight was pushed back till somewhere about a couple weeks in March. Here is a lady that I'm a fan of. I have supported her quite some time, and this is the Nigerian Terminator herself, Lovett Patrick Young. Now, Miss Young has been fighting in she's originally from Nigeria, and she's been fighting in the LFA for quite some time. She's fought the former LFA champion, Vanessa Dinopoulos, and she has a pretty good record. She's like a 3-1-1, and she's a former champion herself. She has impressive wins. The last 2 fights in FA has been by second round knockout. And like I said again, she's a former king of the cage champion. Now, she has fought. Watch that later, Rose. She has fought in several organizations, and she's also currently just got she got promoted to deputy administrative chief or supervisor. And I'm proud of her. I did a video about this, and I'm proud of it. And it wasn't that long ago. Her last fight against Kelly D'Angelo, she defeated her by another second round TKO. And Lovett might be on track to be fighting for the LFA strawweight champion against new champion Lupita Gutierrez. And I did a video with Miss Gutierrez. She's a nice person. She's a great lady. And I hate to see, these are 2 women I like and respect. And, but I say I'm going to have to support my girl Lovett. I see her possibly maybe, putting up this would be a good fight. I would generally see these are 2 tough women. This would be a good fight. I would love to see this happen. Next up is a lady that, her pedigree is what it is, who she is. And this is one Miss Laila Shibi Singh Ali. Now, Miss Ali is one of 9 or 8 children from the greatest Muhammad Ali himself. Now, she's originally from Miami, Florida, and she started in boxing around 2009. Now, she's the only one of Ali's children to follow his footsteps. He does have 2 sons, but they never follow his footsteps. Sometimes it's rare for like boxers of especially sons of boxers to follow footsteps. You had your Floyd Mayweathers, and you had a couple others here and there, but generally most of the usually don't follow the fathers. And they don't do as well as the fathers did. But she did pretty well. But the problem is there's always that debate that her career was kind of more of a packed career, just set up for whatever else. But she is pretty impressive with a 24-0 record, and she fought with several titles such as WCW, WIBF, IBF, and WBF, and super middleweight and light heavyweight. But right now, Laila is a businesswoman. She's a mother, a wife. She's quite often do charity work, And even one time she was on the episode of Dancing with the Stars. So your celebrity status has been great. We began Dancing with the Stars. And there was also one time there was talk of her coming back and fighting Clarissa Shields, but that never happened. I think it's probably, like I said, she'd been on the game too long. She hadn't fought in over 10 years, so I don't think we ever see that happen. That's just fantasy set by some people, but it's not going to ever happen. Next up is a lady that I would say is one of the baddest women in the sport of boxing. Generally, she was just, dominant for so many years, and that's one Miss Ann Brown Sugar Wolf. And she's from the great state of Texas, in Austin, Austin, Texas, and she's been in the game for quite some time. And I remember a story. She said that she actually got into boxing so she could feed her family. She had 2 daughters, and one time she did a fight where she only got paid $1 because they had to put something on the contract. But Ann has been a champion. She has amazing pedigree. I mean, she knocked out one woman in like 1 minute in the first round. And this woman was a Ronda War who was like 6'6". This was a tall chick, but she knocked her out. Now Ann has had multiple titles herself, being lightweight, light middleweight, and also light heavyweight. And she's also a mother and a grandmother and a businesswoman. She also trained up and coming male fighter by the name of James Kirkland as light middleweight. But one time I heard Kirkland left from Ann, but then he wasn't doing so good, so he came back to her. And she even had a stint in movies. She played the character Artemis in the movie Wonder Woman, about a few years back. And if you follow comic, Artemis was a character that's in the comic book history. She's actually the woman that replaced the original Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, after she lost her powers. But this is great for me. And then it's that controversy, the fight that never happened, between her and Layla Ali. And the story's always been that because of money. As you know, women combat sports don't get as much money compared to the men. And, if anything, what's a couple of million? Come on. You're not going to get big pay-per-view attention. You'd be lucky if you even be part of an undercard, especially back then in about the early 2000s. But this fight should have always had happened. But I think what it was, many of the people, Layla's management and her handlers didn't want her to face Ann Wolf, because Ann Wolf's pretty dominant. Only with that one loss she had against Valerie Marfu, a person she fought at least 3 times during her career. I'm a big fan of Ann Wolf. And here is a lady I'm a fan of. I follow her on social media. She's great. She's beautiful. She's just genuine lady. This was one Marion, the Belizean Bruiser Renault. And she's from the state of California. And she's considered one of the oldest women competing right now in the UFC. And she has a past with she's a wife and a mother. She's a teacher. And I mean, she's a beautiful, genuine, beautiful woman, And she has fought some of the best, such as Holly Holmes, Sarah Mann. She's one of the few women in the history of MMA to have a win over Jessica Andrade. She beat her by tap out. And Marion's, been kind of been a controversial side because, there's a couple of fights she should have won, especially the fight she had with Ashley Evans Smith back in around about 2015. It was a fight that she should have won, but because the judges didn't, some reason, bull BS reason, they give her the wrong numbers, and it's always been that issue. And Marion's been on this no love list, even though she's 9-6-1 with a draw against my girl Betty Correia, which I think I'm always saying her and Betty should run that back. I know she's supposed to be fighting Macy Chiasson in the end of next month, but you know what? They should just put that fight to the side. Macy fight somebody else, and maybe if Betty is 100% from her surgery, I'd love to see that rematch to break that draw. I mean, the UFC should do that. I mean, I know they're looking for a reason to get rid of Marion. If Marion loses this fight, I think they're gonna cut her. But I hope she doesn't. I hope she wins this fight. A while back she had tested positive for COVID, and I hope she's recovered well and be able to fight. But the fight was supposed to happen a while back. Or was it supposed to happen? I think this month. It was actually last week, I believe. But because of an injury that Macy had got, the fight was canceled and pushed back. But I think Macy Chiasson might need to go to 145. She's killing herself. I think that's probably what it is. She's killing her body trying to squeeze the 135. But I'm a big fan of Mari. I hope she wins this fight. Next up is a lady that I am a fan of. She is an amazing person. And I think she takes a lot of guff because, what happened in her situation. That is one Miss Tanisha Triple Threat Tennant. And I think she's from the Big Apple, New York, and she fights at 135. And, she has a pretty good record, with that, I think don't count that loss with the Kinston series. I don't believe it. But she's 3-1. And, she really has, really put up a good fight during her career. It wasn't that long ago she fought in the Invictus Phoenix series as a bantamweight. And that series she dominated, beating 3 girls straight in one night. And right now she should be fighting for the title. But as you know, she was offered an opportunity to fight in the Dana White's Contender Series against Daniel Wolf, a former boxer with no MMA background, not even amateur background, just a boxer. And the controversy of it is that fight that she should have won. Now, Daniel Wolf did put up some good striking, but she has no other skills, no kicking skills. She still just rides her boxing. And I think the judges, for whatever reason, choose Danielle Wolf because she's white and pretty. That's about it. But Tanisha is a great fighter. She has a skill set. And right now, she should be fighting for the 135 title. As you know, the title's been vacated because the former champion, Julio Stolenko, has got signed to the UFC. And I think her former opponent from her last fight, Alcidico, is supposed to be fighting for a title, for the title. But I think her opponent should be Tanisha Tennant. And y'all know why UFC is dragging her foot not signing this woman. She should have been signed a long time ago. Because right now, the UFC's 135 division is dead. Ever since Ronda Rousey left and now Amanda Nunes is a champion, the division's just been on kind of like a downfall. But they need fresh blood, especially Tanisha to be perfect. Somebody in there who can really fight and show up and show out. And here I have the current self-proclaimed GOAT, Miss Claressa T. Rex Shields from the state of Michigan by way of Flint, by way of Flint, And Tanisha's pretty much, Claressa does have a pretty good, impressive pedigree, being a 2-time Olympian. And as you know, right now she is also trying her hand at MMA. And she has multiple titles, from being, everything from divisions such as WBA, WBC, IFBA, IFBF, and WBO. And she wasn't that long ago. She fought against another undefeated boxer by the name of Krista Hammer, and that's been almost 2 years ago since that fight. And Hammer just finally saying she's coming back to compete. And you know what? There's right now, even though you may not like the stuff she's saying, like she will fight guys like Andre, Ward, or Keith, or Ponytail Thurman, or possibly Porter. But she's really believing her confidence in her skills, and you got to give her that. Even though you may not be a fan of what she's saying, and men fighting women is just not a very good idea because strength and speed and everything's a difference. But like I said, she's been representing women boxing for quite some time, and even that long ago, she called out the former champion herself, one Miss Laila Ali. Yeah, shit, maybe. Next time. Later, close it. Anyway, Laila Ali, she called her out some time ago. I don't think this fight's gonna happen. It was just something for her to do because they know there's not much boxing going on, especially with COVID going on. But as you know, she's training with Holly Holmes, John Jones, and over there in Winker John Gym. And I'm telling her, don't stick with Winker John Gym. My best advice to her: do this. Now she has an upcoming fight for pay-per-view, and this is the biggest pay-per-view event for women's boxing. It's an all-women's card, and it's coming up in next week on March the 5th. And this is my advice to Claressa Shields. I would like this. If you're serious about doing MMA, and she said a while back, she said a year is enough time for her to fight somebody like Amanda Nunes. But that's not enough. And as you know, she just signed with PFL to fight 155. But if she seriously wants to be a fighter, here's the thing: this, put off that fight. You got your pay-per-view coming up. Fight that fight. Fight two more fights. Like get a rematch with Hannah Gabriels and fight Savannah Marshall, and spend that time training. Spend the next 2 years training. Do like a Valentina. Be like a Ronin, which is a Japanese samurai, which is a samurai warrior who doesn't have a master. Go from different countries and study a skill set. Spend some time in Japan, study some judo, study some karate. Spend some time in Brazil, study some Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Spend some time in Thailand, study some Muay Thai. Travel a little bit. Don't settle just with the Wicked John Gym because they just take your money and just want your name. But like I said, she is considered one of the greatest women in boxing. And even though you may not like her politics, what she said, you gotta be, respect her confidence. And here's the lady that is probably the woman that started it all for women. Really not really women who started it all, but women who really represented women in combat sports. This is the first woman, the first black woman to be on a pay-per-view event. And this was almost 17 years ago. And this is one Miss Frida Cheetah Gibbs or Lady Jack Johnson. And I did an interview with Miss Gibbs some time ago, and she's an amazing person. She's a champion in martial arts, kickboxing, and boxing. Now she held titles in ISKA, WKA, and WKF. And she was, pretty much practically undefeated in world championship boxing. She defeated Valerie Henin, which was considered, one of the toughest women in boxing at the time. She has a great background. She has been rewarded, and she studied under some great legends. And also, like I said, she defeated Henin back in '94, which was with a knockout. She said that she was almost, by some will of God, she knocked out Henin. I mean, I saw the replay of that fight many times, and she just whooped her with a hit, with a roundhouse punch. I mean, kind of like the same that Valentina does, and she knocked her out. And as she knows, she also fought several opponents in her boxing career, most notably such as Samaya Nani, which is considered one of the toughest women she ever fought in her career. And she has represented women in sports, not from just mixed martial arts, but also she has a background in track and field and basketball too. And she's a great lady. I've talked with her sometimes. She pops up every now on YouTube. She's done some live streams, and she is a woman that really set the standard. Like I said before, Amanda Nunes, Cyborg, Layla Ali, Clarissa Shields. This was the first woman to be on pay-per-view, and she really, she came from Chester, Pennsylvania. She grew up tough. She had to be tough, and she learned her skills from her uncle and many others. But this woman has, set the standard for women in mixed martial arts. And even though she had a record in boxing of 9-2-1, it's still pretty impressive compared to some women today. But like I said, women combat sports still have a long way to go, especially black women. As you know, I remember the great Malcolm X says the black woman is the most disrespected, person in the world. But these women, they take their respect. I respect before that. And these are women who are just legendary. And also there's some women who are the future, and women of the past that did so much, they got to be recognized, like someone like Alicia Ashley, who was a former boxing legend, and the up and coming MMA fighters such as Chantel Killer Coates. These are women who are trailblazers, and these are the up and coming fighters that will really represent the sport as the years to come. So like I said, you have to really give respect to women who get into this sport like boxing or MMA or kickboxing or any kind of combat sports, because you know what, it's difficult. You got to think about it. You got to hit people that'll hit your back. But like I said, these women need, I think we should promote these women, give them all much respect and the opportunity to prove themselves, especially in a world that's pretty much male dominant, basically white male dominant, and also just pretty much just male. Just I would say, pretty much. I say not the white male dominant, just male dominant in general, be it black, white, or whatever. Like I said, these women are just great and legends, and just have so much to offer. So somebody who wants to learn. It should be all over George page. Like, don't subscribe, don't subscribe. I'm out.